Welcome race fans here to the Doublemint Cup Series here for the second round in the round of 16 here. We're at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, also known to other race fans here known as Mosport here. This 2.45 mile racetrack here with 10 turns to really try and conquer here. A lot of tricky corners here, maybe not so tricky for some of the road ringers here in this racetrack here. 16 drivers with a shot at the championship here, with some in better shape than others here. In terms of where they start out, Dylan Young starts in third here, Finguy fourth, Jessica Emery rounds out in fifth there, William Duncan starts seventh, Nick Gunther starting in the 8th spot here, or really the 10th spot here, Tommy Turbo starting in 8th, then you have Vince Freeze starting 12th, Dylan Schwalmberg 13th there, Johnny Gardner 15th, and then you have Cody Lamas in the 18th spot. PJ Williams starts 20th, Jack James 21st that time around here, Charles Sanford 26th, then you have Seth Cole 32nd, pretty far down the grid there, Kyle Matthews 37th, and Chris Dodd rounding in 42nd. So a lot of these championship contenders kind of sporadic in qualifying, but a lot of the main ones, or really a lot of them, starting near the front of the pack here. So really a big shot for a lot of these championship contenders to try and snatch a win here at this road course here in Canadian Tire. Really here in Canada here, as the pace car is off here for the 10th turn of the event here. Josh Sikuli will lead the field down with his teammate Mike Cock on his outside there, and the green flag is out here. We're racing at Canadian Tire here, with everybody having a shot at the win here. Sikuli with a great lurch into turn one, and he's going to be ahead of his teammate that time around. Sikuli's going to be the one to lead the way here, navigate the field through these turns here with his teammate in second. Finguy fighting for third there. Dylan Young fighting back on the inside this time around into turn number 3. And Dylan Young's going to try and hold on here. Emery fighting Pat Johnson there, the Indianapolis winner there. He's looking for 2 wins in a row here, but Emery now trying to hold on in that spot here. Finguy and Young still going at it here, but Young has the advantage in the Moss corner here in 5 and 6. Finguy's going to have to back off here, and Josh Sikouli's going to go wide on the first lap there, and here comes Dylan Young for that second spot. Jeffrey Finguy drops to 4th, but Dylan Young on the move here on lap 1 of the event here. He's going to look for the race lead as well. Dylan Young just trying to find that momentum on the Andretti straight there. He's got a nose underneath Sikuli for the position there. He's going to dive it into the corner there. A late maneuver there, but couldn't quite get there that time around. Sikuli on the outside. Mike Cock gets turned into the wall, and Jeffrey Finguy gets knocked down with him, bringing out the first caution of the day here, and they're racing across the line, and it's Sikuli that's going to lead the field down for the yellow flag. They were all just going at it for the race lead there, and Mike Cock came down there, and Finguy came up. Both of them kind of just went for the same spot, and into the tire barriers, both of them went, and just out of the race goes Jeffrey Finguy there. He was 19 points to the good, coming in here 4th in the points, and this is going to be really crucial here for those underneath the cutoff line here. This is going to be huge, and for Jeffrey Finguy, this could be one of the moments in which it could be a waking nightmare for the 14 team. So under caution, Will Goss got into Annie Thomas, sending the 23 for a bizarre ride down the front stretch and into turn 1, and that was probably one of the most bizarre wrecks I've seen in Doublemint for quite some time, especially under caution here. But out of the race goes Annie Thomas just like that. That 23 car really has no luck here whatsoever, and then really another car knocked out of the race for that Burger King team. Coming to the 1-to-go signal here, Dylan Young beat everybody out of pit lane, so now he's your leader. Johnny Gardner having issues in pit lane, so something amiss with the 22 car. So more cars way above the cut line here, having a lot of issues here, and this is going to be really drastic for them here. But the pace car is off through turn 10. Dylan Young's going to lead the field down to end lap number 3 and to begin lap 4. Green flag back in the air, but here comes Pat Johnson to the inside there. The 11 team has been relatively determined to try and find victory yet again here. They've been hungry for another win here after their win in Indianapolis here. A huge amount of momentum and self-esteem for that team has really brought them to life here, as Pat Johnson just really pounced on Dylan Young that time around. Young's gonna try and fight back, while William Duncan files the third here. Turbo dropping to fourth, but Nick Gunther also on the move here, as well as Scott Roush in fifth and sixth. So don't count those guys out yet, but it's Pat Johnson that leads the way here, trying to find 2 wins in a row for the FedEx team here. And Dylan Young not really liking that restart there. He's going to look back at this, while William Duncan now trying to take second away, and he will take second away here. Dylan Young's going to drop to third as a result. Duncan now goes up to the runner-up spot, while Tommy Turbo stays in that fourth position. Nick Gunther now trying to hold on to fifth, while Joey Murphy taking sixth away from Scott Roush here. Vince Freeze in the eighth position there in that 31 car. So another top 10 run for Vince Freeze could pretty much settle them in a good position here, while another good run for William Duncan, another top 5 run, could really clinch Duncan in a better position to really just make it in points-wise and not having to worry whether he wrecks out or not. So maybe William Duncan looking for a win here. He's no stranger to road courses as well. He did win at Dubai earlier this season here, so Duncan looking like he might want to try and pounce on Pat Johnson here if Pat Johnson does make a mistake on the track. Dylan Young was from first to third on a restart here, just like that. That is how fast this racetrack can be, and how these restarts are so pivotal and where you could end up in the end result sheet. But Pat Johnson continuing to lead his way. He's got a 1.2 second gap over William Duncan. Duncan was in the runner-up spot to try and win from the very same car, and now he's going to be the one to try and attack that very same car to try and find victory here. But again, we still have pit stops lingering in the distance here, or these drivers here, because they're not quite good on gas quite yet here. PJ Williams trying to make his way upwards here. He's in the 15th spot behind his teammate of Gabe Williams in the number 18 car. Scott Roush there, the Indianapolis pole winner here, had a really good, impressive debut start. Him and Jack Halleck did fantastic here, and Roush continuing to impress here today. Running in the 7th spot here, Vince Freeze, a contender, running in that 8th position. As I mentioned, Freeze has really persevered through a lot of hardships here throughout this season, and he's one of the few favorites in terms of the championship fight here. Cody Lamas, let's talk about him here. Due sponsor in that 48 car, Ally Bank. Following that car for the playoffs until he gets eliminated, Lowe's will come back onto the car here. Lamas running in the 10th spot, struggled a lot in Indy, but kind of lurked his way up near the end of the race there to get a solid finish for the team. So Cody Lamas, really hoping to see, because he is actually 7th in the points right now, 8 points above the 12th place car in the cutoff line. Johnny Gardner has come back on pit lane. He is now 39th, so he was actually leading the points coming in with a 30-point advantage, but that's really going to evaporate just like that. William Duncan now seeing Pat Johnson make a mistake there. He's going to go for the race lead here. He's got a good run on car number 11 here. William Duncan trying to really intimidate that 11 car out of the way here. Pat Johnson, as I mentioned, greedy for a second win here, trying to be the playoff spoiler this season here and trying to get a late season charge. So what they could have if there's another season in the series, as Duncan now right on the bumper of that 11 car here yet again. I love saying the 11 car instead of Pat Johnson, as it seems, but Duncan just really kind of patient with his car right now, really loving the handling on that Klepper Media machine there. Dylan Young a bit distant third there compared to the top 2 here. So William Duncan again having a good road course setup on that 6 car here, as he is closing in on Pat Johnson there. Johnson had a second lead at some point, and now it's dropped down to 2/10 this time around. And into turn number 3 here, let's see the advantages Duncan might have here, and whether turn 5 and 6 might be the areas in which Duncan could pounce if Pat Johnson slips up here. Looks like Johnson got a really good exit off that corner there, and through the downhill they go, the downhill left-hander, and to the next 2 right-handers. This is going to be an area where drivers will make mistakes here, and this is the section where it could happen, and there it is. Here comes William Duncan for the race lead, and William Duncan to the lead here at Canadian Tire here. Duncan said he had a good shot here. They're really looking for the big picture, but I think a win for them would be the cherry on top for making it to the next round here, and William Duncan doing whatever it takes to try and get a victory here. Really a good run, and now he is P1 on the grid at the moment here, while Dylan Young now getting attacked by Tommy Turbo for the 3rd spot here. Nick Gunther Really just watching these two go at it, while Scott Roush in the 6th spot, he's looking to try and maybe steal a top 5 from either one of those playoff contenders right in front of him. He's got nothing to lose here, just really trying to put a statement that he belongs in the Doublemint Cup Series with these regulars as well. So William Duncan just trying to run away from Pat Johnson here. Johnson's going to have to do the same thing that Duncan did, is track him down and hopefully see if the 6th car makes an error so he can retake that lead back, because both cars look kind of even here. It's just a matter of who really stumbles on the brakes here, or really overbrakes themselves here, or really outbrakes each other, to say the least here. So brakes are going to be kind of frugal, or pretty fundamental and important into where these drivers may end up or really drive the track. And Pat Johnson goes wide yet again. Duncan loving what he's seeing here, forcing that 11 car to make a mistake here. Dylan Young now back on the bumper of Tommy Turbo, but Nick Gunther is there to attack as well. Now trying to push the 2 car ahead of the 95 there. Tommy Turbo holds his position there, but Nick Gunther is now right behind Dylan Young to try and prove his presence there, while Vince Freeze on the attack next to Scott Roush through this fast right-hander here, and Freeze takes the spot away from Scott Roush quite easily that time around, just showcasing the experience that 31 car has, really just the experience these drivers have in terms of the abilities in a cup car. PJ Williams getting attacked by Jack James for position here. And James actually trying to get 2 spots in one corner that time around. So Jack James trying to take, I believe that's the 15th spot here. So this is the battle for the top 15 here. Jack James has had a quiet run here, running 5th in the point standings, 15 points out. So a bit of a comfortable gap over those underneath the cutoff line here. So trying to get around Halleck. Halleck kind of struggling with his car here, but with a new livery, with the clean livery on that 16 car there, pretty much replacing Theo Stegall there. Halleck had a great run in Indianapolis as well with a top 10 finish, but looking to see if he can maybe get another one maybe when it comes to pit stops for the Roush entry. And James now looking on the inside there for that position. James with a clean pass around that Ford Fusion there. James trying to get back on the move here, looking really good here. Could be one of the dark horses in winning this championship here if he can get that car up to its point here, really outperform in that car here. While Dylan Young just really holding off Nick Gunther. Gunther went really wide in that corner that time around, and Gunther kind of struggled in that race as well. Despite having a good finish, he's 9th in the point standings coming in. Nobody is safe in this round quite yet. It's a matter of who will be safe by the end of this one. Duncan's still leading though, but Pat Johnson is not giving up without a fight here, despite not really directly battling that 6 car. He's putting times that are reflective of William Duncan's right at the moment here. So these 2 cars have not really been apart, or really not been apart really, to say the least, as Duncan is just really just trying to hold his ground at the moment here. Really, like I said, a good run for William Duncan is pretty much what that team is going to try and aim for here, but Pat Johnson has nothing to lose here. He didn't even make the playoffs in the get-go here, so he's just trying to really win more races for the Joe Gibbs team. You can just see how hard on the brakes both of them go, but Duncan just gets the exit off of Moss that time around. If you're close to the leader, you really kind of have to hesitate a bit so you don't run over the leader, because I don't think that's really what the 2nd place car wants to do, is to wreck the leader out of the race, really. And I don't think a lot of people or a lot of fans would really like that. As Nick Gunther now going around Dylan Young for the 4th position. Joey Murphy seeing this as an opportunity. He's going to try and make himself present and to try and get around Dylan Young as well, to see if he can find a spot into the top 5 here. So Nick Gunther now up to the 4th spot. Now he's going to be on the charge to go for 3rd here. So Nick Gunther just really loving his car at the moment here. The 35 team, I think a lot of people thought that team wouldn't go too far into the playoffs here. And so far, he's putting up a good fight in the championship hunt here, despite it only being the introductory round of the playoffs here. He's running around the good area here, and with this run, this could really propel him upwards in the point standings, with drivers like Finguy out of the race, Johnny Gardner struggling, and a few more championship contenders just continuing to not have the runs they've really anticipated here in the event. Kyle Matthews and Seth Cole, those two have not had good qualifying runs here, and Seth Cole was so promising in Indianapolis, and it wasn't really meant to be for him, and they really faded at the end of that race, and didn't fare too well for Kyle Matthews either. PJ Williams had a wreck early on, but he's running in the mid-pack area, running in 18th, so nonetheless, it's still a solid run for PJ Williams, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. Dylan Schwalbenberg continued to run inside the top 20 here, but I think that 20 team wants a little more than a top 20 here. They're going to try and look for top 10s, and where they're at, maybe even race victories here. While Jessica Emery looked really strong in the race early, now struggling right at the moment here. Luis Hernandez trying to make a move underneath her for position here, and Emery on the gas there, but Hernandez just having the good center off that time around on the 33 car. Both of them side by side in the corner there. Emery is 11th in the point standings coming in, and she really doesn't want to struggle like this so far. Even though it's a good run, she really needs to get her game up if she wants to really continue to do so well. So, I mean, like I said, she's not doing too well running in. She's doing pretty solid, actually. Not doing too well is probably the worst way to say it, really. But Luis Hernandez fighting outside the top 10 here. Sakuli's in 11th, but this is the battle for 12th. While Jack James has reeled in those drivers here for position. Really a big fan of cars all together within the mid-pack range here. So it's going to be quite exciting to see what these drivers do in pit lane, to see if they can diversify their strategy, maybe even gain more track position or really a better car, better handling car, once the adjustments are made right. There's a big bottle up here. I'm really stuttering with these words here today. In the pack here, Nick Gunther on the charge here on Tommy Turbo there. Turbo really struggling here. Looks like he's really holding up these drivers here, and this is all for the third spot here while the top two are running away. Tommy Turbo kind of just getting hounded by all these other championship contenders here. Turbo is a bit outside the cutoff here by a measly point behind Chris Dodd here, and 2 points behind Jessica Emery here. So again, it's going to be a really close battle to the end of it. So those drivers that are a bit upwards, are really close to the cutoff line, are really trying to execute properly, and a lot of them in this case are doing so here today. So they're just doing the best they can to their ability here. William Duncan just trying to run away here. We have reached past the halfway point of this race here. Zachary Fitzwater struggling with his car, trying to get around Will Godsworth position here, and you see the Aussie native just not having a good day in that 43 car. Chris Dodd is now in 24th here, so Charles Sanford doing not too hot in 26th there in the 10 car here. He is 17 points below the cutoff line here, so I mean, Chris Dodd's run could really put himself in danger as well. So again, we're really gonna have to wait and see what the points will really shake up here. Gunther going wide that time around, Joey Murphy going wide, and Vince Freeze back on the attack there, and that is for the 6th spot here. So Vince Freeze continuing to really rack up track position gradually here in this race. So by then, I don't think many are going to be surprised to see that 31 can get a top 5 here, because that car has been really quick here in terms, and really he's just been really calculated with his moves here. So really a good effort for Vince Freeze here today. Another top 10 run would be the way to go for him. He's 25 points to the good, and I think this would really be a big cushion for him. While William Duncan continues to lead the way here, we have still yet to have green flag pit stops quite yet. You see Jack James fighting Kev Shear for the top 15 spot here. Kev Shear a really bit outside the top 15 here. PJ Williams still within that range there in the top 20. Schwalbenberg not too far behind, so the JGR cars are running close together. The 19 and the 20 are pretty close in times here, so they're running about where they would be running at the moment. Scott Roush in that 10th spot here, trying to get around Cody Lamas. Lamas having a good quiet run, as I mentioned, with the Ally Bank sponsorship. Lamas kind of struggled at Indy, but has really showcased here some good progress here today. A good run for him would pretty much help propel him in a better position as well. With Daytona being the next race in the playoffs, that is pretty much a wild card event in which a lot of drivers kind of don't like that track for a good reason. Vince Freeze back on the charge here on Dylan Young this time. Young went wide, but Vince Freeze didn't this time around. His teammate of Joey Murphy is going to be there of assistance here. And Vince Freeze now looking for a top 5 run here. Joey Murphy also trying to maybe steal a position from Dylan Young, while Betty Johnson and Cody Lamas are going at it in the back here. A 3-car battle for the top 5 here. Young trying not to be the big loser this time around. Joey Murphy really just trying to decide which lane to go. But Vince Freeze now back on the inside here. These lanes just really swapping the S's. And through turn number 10 there, Vince Freeze is going to be able to take that 5th position that time around. Joey Murphy's going to fold to the inside line. And Dylan Young might be the big loser that time around, but he's going to get the acceleration off that corner there. based on the exit speed there, so he's gonna really just drop one position. But Vince Freeze now up to 5th here. He's really clocked in faster times. These past couple laps here might be a fantastic long run car or the Akuma team here, really the RCR team as a whole for this 31 car. Back up front though, William Duncan just having a 1.8 second gap. Going wide that time around, Pat Johnson kind of doing the exact same thing. So they're kind of running about identical lap times here. Nick Gunther sitting in that 3rd spot here, a distant 6 seconds away from the top 2 here. Tommy Turbo continuing to really fade in this run here despite running in 4th, as Vince Freeze has now reeled him in yet again. I'm just going to say this once again. Freeze has just been on a tear within these past couple laps here, and he is now closed in on Tommy Turbo here for the 4th position here. So I haven't really seen a car this fast in terms of overtaking in quite some time here, as William Duncan continuing to put on a dominance here today. Him and Pat Johnson have been the class of the field here. Pit stops might be a different story though, so we're gonna have to wait and see what the pit crews do. That's really up to them to decide. But right now, if we do have pit stops, to say the least, that is the scenario if we do have pit stops. Relatively boring race to say the least so far, if I want to be completely honest with everybody here. Kind of a single file event this time around, but Vince Freeze really just kind of, the Canadian crowd a bit bored here at the moment, so Freeze really just trying to really maybe excite these fans by maybe going for more risky moves here, as Dylan Young and Joey Murphy are still within a train here. A lot of cars are pretty much in a train at the time being here. Charles Sanford still trying to find a way to get around O'Neal Balvin there in that McDonald's machine, the Bill Elliott throwback there, that classic McDonald's Tonight scheme there. I think a lot of people really, the Mac Tonight scheme, that's what I meant to say there. So that's a really nice throwback here. I think a lot of people love to see that scheme on track more often, despite it being a day race here. So, but Freeze back on the attack there. Looks like he wanted to put his nose underneath Tommy Turbo here for position. Turbo still holding his ground, but Dylan Young has reeled them both in yet again. So Dylan Young, oh man, going a bit wide that time around there. Just couldn't quite get the momentum here. And there they come towards green flag pit stops. This may be what could be the crucial moment of this race here. And let's see who's going to stay out here. Dylan Young's going to stay out. Cody Lamas stays out as well. Jessica Emery, Sakuli, and a lot of others are going to also stay out on track here. A relatively clean race so far, despite the first lap. We haven't really seen much battling for the race lead here. But Dylan Young is going to try and lead that second wave of cars to pit stops here, while everybody else taking 4 tires here, whether they're going to make it out first or not. Duncan's going to be the first one out, so pay attention to where he's going to end up here, right in front of Jeremy Jones. So he's got some traffic to help William Duncan's aid here, while Pat Johnson rounds out in that second place in terms of pit lane. Nick Gunther there. Vince Freeze didn't really get much. Not many cars really gained in pit stops here. Scott Rouch had a really good stop there. Bill Gunther coming out. A lot of drivers really coming out. Kyle Matthews, like I said, has been struggling all race long. He's really trying to find something in that car here. As there you see Luis Hernandez now trying to get around Betty Johnson for a position there, but Gabe Williams is going to help that 33 car here, much to his pleasure here. And you can see just the amount of run you can get on the Andretti straight there. Hernandez really just trying to find something in this race so far. Really, like I said, it's just been kind of a really uneventful race. Let's say at least here, Scott Rouch now going on the inside of Joey Murphy there. That is going to be very important for Scott Rouch here. And he gets around that 13 car quite easily there. While Vince Freeze now trying to put a nose underneath Turbo again. Just can't really get that run on the straightaway quite yet here, unless Freeze does something here. As there they come through the fast few corners here, through 9 and 10. They're about to approach here. Freeze just really on that bumper of that 95 car here. Nick Gunther has really closed the gap on Pat Johnson here, so a great stop for the polyphony of the machine here. As you see, the frames kind of just spiking a bit here. That time around, William Duncan obviously is going to have a huge gap over Pat Johnson here. Dylan Young, Emery, and Lamas are racing it out of pit lane. Emery's going to be the one to prevail ahead of Cody Lamas, and they actually jump-started on the 95 and 31. They leapfrogged those two cars compared to everybody else there. Scott Rouch trying to fight Josh Sakui here, so a lot of drivers really taking advantage of the overcut here, because those that had to undercut had to really execute with fast lap times here, while Pat Johnson and Nick Gunther are now going at it for second. I think William Duncan, he's really just got to keep the car in one piece if he really wants to win this race and advance to the next round. Nick Gunther now looking for the second spot here. He's got a good run on Pat Johnson here. That 11 car not looking too good here in this last half, but Nick Gunther's car looks like it came to life in pit stops here. So this 35 car on those newer tires, maybe even a more grill tape and maybe just a better short run car here. Nick Gunther navigates his way around Pat Johnson for a position here, while Jessica Emery taking the fourth spot away, making a bit of contact that time around, and Dylan Young is going to lose some spots that time around. Cody Lamas back on the bumper of that 2 car here, so really a freight train of playoff drivers are running inside the top 10 here, Duncan being the first one out of all of them here. So pretty much we have a lot of them rounding out the top 5 area here. So it seems that we have 4 of the 4 cars filling out the top 5 that are in the playoffs here, which is really good for a lot of these contenders when it comes to the points at the end of this one. Three laps to go here for William Duncan here. He's got a 4-second lead here. Like I said, it's been quite an uneventful race, but the battle between the mid-pack and everybody down has been relatively quite something here to watch. Jessica Emery now just trying to run away from Dylan Young here. Young just really quiet in the top 10 here. That's kind of the run they really anticipate throughout most of the event here. Cody Lamas also trying to find a way here. He really recovered after being in the mid-pack range. He is now inside the top, almost inside the top 5 areas. So Cody Lamas actually has been top 10 throughout most of the event here. Vince Fries was on the charge before pit stops, and now he's a bit backwards here right now. He's in the 8th spot here, but even so, a great run for the 31 team is just what they need. Scott Rauch inside the top 10 here. We want to mention him. There's the Jack Halleck now trying to battle for the 16th position on Luis Hernandez and Bill Gunther here. Chris Dodd has actually made himself upward through the pack here in the 18th spot, so from 42nd to 18th is relatively impressive here. I think I had to hold a burp that time around, but Chris Dodd really putting a good effort here, being one of the biggest movers in the race here. Chris Dodd, this is a great recovery run for him, and with not many cautions, only 1 caution on the track, this is really going to help to the liking of really that 88 team quite a lot. William Duncan continuing to lead the race though, but Nick Gunther has been clocking in faster laps in that 6 car here. But it's only 2 laps to go, and a 4-second gap is going to be really hard to really gain back if he wants to really win this race, because William Duncan has been on an island here, and once he took that lead, there has been no turning back for that 6 car here. Gunther going wide that time around, that might have honestly sealed it in for that 35 team, but even so, a 2nd place run is fantastic for Nick Gunther here today. Tommy Turbo now on the bumper of Cody Lamas, while Josh Sakuli trying to steal the top 10 spot away from Scott Rauch there, as Rauch went wide that time around. Joey Murphy dropping a bit ways back here from Gabe Williams, and the 27 car now trying to take the 10th spot away here. The pole sitter coming in has really faded in this run afterwards here, and it's not really been meant to be for a win for the 2017, but a top 10 would be great for Sakuli here. The white flag is out for William Duncan. We're still going to focus a bit ways back for these drivers next to each other throughout most of these. Are really a lot of them trying to go side by side here. As you see, Kyle Matthews trying to get around Will Goss here for position. Charles Sanford has been kind of struggling, as I mentioned. Johnny Gardner, ever since that mechanical issue plagued him, he's not really recovered since. But William Duncan leads the field here for the white flag. We're actually going to primarily focus on him for the time being, as of now, at least for a little bit. But now through Moss Corner here with a 4-second gap, almost 5 seconds, 4.5 seconds to say the least. Duncan leads through Moss Corner here and down the Andretti straightaway here for the final time. Or the Klepper Media Machine. You see Nick Gunther in the distance there, but not going to be too big of a factor here in this race. William Duncan is no stranger to victories here at road courses. He was a winner at Dubai for a reason, was relatively consistent in the regular season, and through the final few corners here, through turn 9, really getting close to turn 9, and into turn number 10. For the final time here today, William Duncan, rounding off the final corner here today, is going to advance to the round of 12 with a win here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Nick Gunther is going to get second here, while Pat Johnson, the Indianapolis winner, is going to hold a strong third here. Almost went for 2 wins in a row. And there you see Jessica Emery rounding out fourth, and Dylan Young finishing in 5th here. There you see Cody Lama 6th there, Turbo in 7th. Betty Johnson, who had a great run at Indy before McKinnon just plagued that 83 car, gets an 8th. Sakuli 9th, and Vince Freeze rounds out your top 10 here. So more drivers kind of fading in the run here, and those trying to get in better off in the run here as a result. Like I said, kind of a bit of an uneventful race here today. Not many passes for the lead, but there was an early wreck to really summarize that race there. Jeffrey Fingai collided with Mike Cock, knocking him out of the race. Annie Thomas had a sensational flip with a collision with Will Goss, knocking him out of the running, or knocking her out of the running to say the least there. But William Duncan, with an advancement to the round of 12, he is safe no matter where he ends up in the next race here, which will be at Daytona International Speedway here. Really super speedway to say the least here. And for William Duncan, this is huge for him today. Nick Gunther gets 2nd, as I mentioned there. But again, we're going to look from 1st to 28th. Let's look at those playoff contenders here. Chris Dodd, 19th, great run for him. Jack James, 20th, struggled near the end. PJ Williams, 21st. Schwalberg, 23rd. Matthews, 27th. Sampler, 28th. We already mentioned the top 10 for those that did relatively well. So those guys are going to get a lot of points here today. And then Seth Cole, 31st. Another bad run for the 80 team here. Then you have Johnny Gardner, 39th. Fingai in 41st. So again, a lot of contenders really struggling in this race, but a lot of them really saw this as an opportunity to gain points here with some top 10 runs, top 15 runs, in order to help themselves boost their chances to advancing to the round of 12. As I mentioned, 4 drivers will be eliminated that are underneath 12th in the point standings here, so we're going to have to wait and see how things pan out when it comes to Daytona International Superspeedway. Thanks for watching here. Honestly, I think this is one of those races you could have skipped to the end, which I think many do anyway, but it's okay. It is what it is, really. But again, congratulations to William Duncan here in an advancement to the round of 12, or really from the round of 16 to the round of 12. Duncan is a winner yet again here, his 2nd win of the season, I believe. So car number 6 just on a hot streak here, had a great run at Indy, and then with a win here today, it's really sealed the deal. And it's going to really help their confidence and really showcase the potential that 6 car could have if they make it to the Championship 4.